Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our Green and Gold Parent Session on campus life at the CIA. I'm Christina Chaccio, Assistant Director of Operations and Enrollment. Before we begin, we just want to take a moment to congratulate all of you. While we know it's your student who is the one who is attending CIA, we also know how much all of you have done to contribute to the success of your students. Your support is absolutely invaluable, and we want to take this time to recognize you and all of your hard work. You did it. Your student made the cut. Just a few housekeeping items for today's presentation. This discussion will be geared towards parents of students attending our New York campus this coming fall of 2021. But if that's not you, feel free to follow along anyway. We've got our amazing enrollment team behind the scenes helping out, typing out responses to any questions we're unable to get to during our discussion. Big shout out to them. And I'm very excited to talk about our host for today. So today we are joined by Dr. James Manley, Associate Dean of Campus Life and Student Development, as well as some wonderful panelists for a discussion that will give you a greater understanding of all that awaits your future CIA student. So JJ, the mic is yours. Thanks so much.
Excellent. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. JJ. I am the Associate Dean for Campus Life here at the Culinary Institute of America. And I am very, very excited to be getting a chance to talk to you guys today. My area, just so you guys know, is my area is the one that will interact with your students the most outside of the classroom. So, students spend a large portion of their time at college out of the classrooms, and we hope that they're using that time to take advantage of all the opportunities that we provide. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that today, but of course the main reason that we are here today is to give you an opportunity to talk to some parents who have students here already. So I'm very, very excited to introduce to you some of our parents. So we have 3 parents joining us that I have had the good fortune of knowing for quite some time now. And we're going to have them, they're going to introduce themselves, and then we will going to go through the presentation. I'll ask them to chime in over a couple of things, but the main thing, of course, that we want to do is get towards the end where you can ask questions directly of our parents. So first I'm going to ask Shanna, if you want to introduce yourselves to everyone, let us know where you're coming from and tell us a little bit about your student.
All right. Hi, I'm Shanna Yates. I am from Tyler, Texas, which is in East Texas, and my son Hudson is now a second-year student there. He has finished his externship, and yeah, we love it. It's like family. And we love Dr. JJ.
Now, Colton, can you introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Colton Schultz. My son Colt is currently at High Park. He's going into, as you'll learn, I call it the third year. They kind of do trimesters, so you'll learn the CIA lingo as they go through if you're used to a traditional college. But he made it through the pandemic, and everybody else did. And thanks to Dr. JJ and all the staff at CIA keeping this all together. He's currently at the Ritz-Carlton in Orlando, Florida, doing his externship there. And he's working under 3 different chefs. So looking forward to seeing all the new parents, and you'll love New York. We're from Texas, so you got 2 Texas panels, and New York's okay. They need to work on their hot sauce, but they'll make it. Thank you.
Thanks, Colton. And finally, we have Mark. Mark, you want to introduce yourself to the parents, please?
You'll need to put my video on. Yeah, I'm Mark Roop. My daughter is in her second semester junior year. She'll be a senior in the fall. She has returned from externship. Has been on campus since she returned. She's currently working for a bachelor's in food and business management with a concentration in farm-to-table cuisine. Currently this semester, she's in restaurants, so she's learning the front of the house and back of the house and really enjoying it. She has worked as chef before in Bocuse before the pandemic started, and she's happy to be with him again, doing her restaurant rotation.
So Mark is from Massachusetts, so we have both East Coast and South West Coast
Yeah,
representative
I
here.
live in Haverhill, Massachusetts, which is about 40 miles north of the city of Boston. I'm on the New Hampshire state line, so usually I'll try to help a lot of parents who are coming from warm weather states with respect on how to dress for the winter.
Thank you, Mark. So the other thing about our parents that are interesting, and we'll talk more about this as we go along, but these three parents are also very active and the administrators of our parent Facebook group. And we will talk about that later on. It's an amazing resource. But here's some of the things we're going to talk about today. So hold on. Here we go. So we're going to talk about about empowering your student so that they can be successful here. We're going to talk about the importance of encouraging your students to get involved and why at the CIA, probably more than any other college I've ever worked at, this is such an important aspect. We're going to discuss how you as a parent can create partnerships with the staff and supporting your student and asking for help. We're going to talk about mail and visiting, preparing for move-in. Move-in process here is very, very well developed. And I think that if you've had students go to other colleges, my hope is that when you come here, you're going to be saying, you know, all colleges got to do it the way the CIA does it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the parent Facebook group. So first thing I want to talk about is about empowering your students. So, you know, CIA is all about getting them ready to be successful when they graduate from here. And we have lots of opportunities to do that. But the biggest thing that you can do and that we want you to do is make sure that you're supporting your student and asking for help and finding the answers themselves. I'm a parent. I have a son that's in college right now. My youngest son is getting ready to go into his senior year of high school. I totally understand what it is feels like when your son or daughter is maybe struggling or is having, and you want to get in there and you want to help them. And we get that. But I am asking you, and I'm going to for them to be successful here, we want to work with you to help them learn to help themselves. So a couple of key things that we find that a lot of students sometimes don't do as well, and this is where you as a parent, you can come in, is encouraging them to make sure they're checking their emails. They should be doing that now. That they've been accepted to the CIA, there are emails I know going to their CIA email address. They should be checking those. They need to be looking on the student portal and utilizing CIA Cares. So CIA Cares is an amazing program that we have here that students can go online from any classroom that they are part of, and they can, what we say, raise their hand. And it basically just says, let someone know that they need some assistance. You know, they're struggling with the homework. They have a question about registering for class, doesn't matter. And there will be a staff member that's going to get there to help them out. So, you know, those three things right there, a lot of times when students, you know, you may ask your student a question, they're like, I have no idea. I don't know what the answer is. A lot of times what we find is that they haven't read their email. That is the main way that we communicate with students. Email, CIA email, not their own personal email, CIA email, and the student portal. And a lot of times we find, and I've gone to students and say, hey, did you know about this? Or they're like, no. I said, did you see your email? And they're like, oh, I don't check my email. Got to check their email. So one of the things that we ask, you know, tell them every time you talk to them that you guys you're checking your email, right? The other thing is our staff, my staff, the academic staff, all the support staff, dining services staff, all the staff on campus. We're here to help your son or daughter be successful. But you know, we're not mind readers. And sometimes we can pick up when a student is, you know, we can tell they're struggling, but sometimes we can't. But we're more than happy to help if they come and say, hey, Dr. JJ, I need help. I mean, and it doesn't matter, whoever they're going comfortable with, they can come to me. You know, if it's something I personally can't help them with, I know how to find them the right person to help them. But they need to ask for help. A lot of times parents will call me, which is fine. I have no problem. I love it when parents call me. But a lot of times what we find out is that the student has never reached out for help. And so a lot of times it's the first time we're hearing about anything because the student hasn't asked for help. So that's what you can help us out by that. Encouraging them to go ask for help, to ask for support. Come see me in my office. I will do everything I can to help them. And then when you do reach out to staff, you know, this is where the partnership comes. You know, we're going to listen to you. We're going to try to identify what the issue might be. But a lot of times, I would say 98% of the time, we're going to say, I need to speak directly to your student. And so we're going to ask you to please, reach out to your student. And sometimes that's challenging because sometimes parents will go, I don't want my student to know I'm calling. I don't want my student to know I contacted you. This makes it a little challenging, but we come up with ways to get in touch with those students without them knowing that it's because a parent asked us to. But if you can reach out and encourage them to come to us, and like I said, if you send them to me and that's the only person you send them to because you remember me, I'm okay with that. After orientation and after move-in, I'm sure most of the students are going to know who I am as well, and I will be glad to help them. So that's how we empower your students. Help them find the answers for themselves. It'll make things a lot easier here for them. Next thing we want to talk about is getting involved. So I worked at a lot of colleges before I came here. And I can tell you, without a doubt, hands down, no college have I worked at has such importance put on this idea of networking and opportunities. There are opportunities at this college that I've never seen at any other college. We're very well connected. Our alumni love this place. Our alumni, when they come back to this college, they come to talk to the students. They're not interested in talking to staff and faculty. They want to get in front of the students because they remember what it was like to be here. They share that passion with the students. So there's lots of opportunities that will open up doors for these students. There's community service, there's clubs, there's going to events on campus. We have amazing career and externship fairs that it's scary when, I cannot believe the people that come to these fairs. I mean, we're talking big names, the Bellagio, the Ritz, Disney, Marriott, Four Seasons, Thomas Keller's dining group, Daniel Ballou, all these huge names in the industry. They send representatives, their businesses come here for our career fairs solely to talk to your students. But they got to go to these things. I have had students have amazing opportunities open up for them solely because they went to an activity on campus. They went to play bingo. And while they were at bingo, we had some of our businesses and sponsors that are in the industry that wanted to be here. So they came here and they were there for bingo and they got to talk to the students and they gave students these unbelievable connections that helped them get that externship of their dreams or helped them get the job of their dreams. If they hadn't gone, they never would have get that. So we always say that your student, if they're not in class and they're not sleeping, and hopefully they're not sleeping too much, especially oversleeping, that they're going to events. They're joining clubs. They're getting involved. They're volunteering for community service because all of these things help. And the biggest thing it helps with, that's probably the most important right now, is scholarships. I will tell you that there are a lot of scholarships available to students. And once they get to campus, we will be showing them how to be applying for scholarships all the time. But I can tell you this from being the person who writes a lot of reference letters for scholarships. Most of the time, the scholarships ask, what have you done at the CIA? And that is because a lot of these scholarships are being provided by alumni or businesses that have a strong connection to the college, that care a great deal about the college. And they want to see that they're giving money to students who also care about the college, who have a passion for making the most out of their experience here. I had a student volunteer for our welcome team, which I'll talk a little bit about later. But basically, this is a group of students who volunteer to help the new students move into their residence halls. But I had a student, he did that. He volunteered for 2 years, and then he went to apply for a scholarship, and he wrote an essay about how he did the welcome team. He answered a question, how'd you be involved? He says, I was on the welcome team. He talked about what it meant to him, why he enjoyed it so much. It resulted in a full scholarship that paid for the last 2 years of his college, solely because he volunteered on the welcome team. That's the types of things that you can get by getting involved. You can get people like Thomas Keller and these other big names in the business offering to help you find a job once you graduate. But you got to get involved. So please, please, please encourage your student to get involved. That will mean a great deal to them, I promise. So what is there to do at the CIA? I just want to know, in case, I want to tell you now, if your students ever call you up and say that they're bored you need to let them know there is no reason for that. I mean, these are some pictures. You can see a lot of stuff going on here. You can see a whitewater rafting trip that we're going on in a couple weeks. We got sports, we got cook-offs, we got dances, but this is a typical calendar. And you'll notice that every single day has got at least one thing, if not more things planned on it. Some of the days are empty, but I can tell you that's just because when we went to print, we didn't know what we were going to do on those days. But I can tell you between clubs and RAs and my staff, there's always something going on in the CIA. There is no reason to be bored. Even, we're thankful that we're moving out of COVID protocols, but even during COVID, we were still extremely busy, as you can see from these pictures here. Lots of stuff for students to do. Here's a calendar that we just did in May here. I mean, look at all the stuff that's going on there. So always a lot of things to go here. And we want you to encourage them. So you can, if your son or daughter reaches out and says, Mom, Dad, I'm so bored, you just got to ask them if they've left their room. I'm telling you, and then you send them to me, because I guarantee I can find things that they will not only can do, but they're going to enjoy doing. So let's talk a little bit about keeping in touch. In this day of emails and FaceTime and text messages and all this stuff, you may think that mail is not that important. I will tell you, because I walk into Roth Hall at the basement where the mailroom is, students are going by there every day to see if they have packages, to see if they have mail. They get excited when they get junk mail. So this is the address that you can write down for you to send something to your student, whether it's a postcard, a letter, even though you may talk to them. And nowadays, it's a lot easier for parents and students to stay in contact with each other. You're not like in the old days where, you had to call from a payphone that you shared with 40 other people on your floor in the residence hall. But students love to get mail. So it's really simple. You just put their name on it. You put 1946 Campus Drive, Hyde Park, New York, and then they will get it. They love getting goodie packages from home. They love getting mail from home. So please, think about that. The other thing I want to talk about is visiting. Our campus, for those of you, we're starting to open up now. Hopefully some of you will get a chance to come visit the campus, maybe before the fall. But we really would prefer, especially during that first semester of the school year, that students do not go home that often, because everything that happens on this campus, a lot of it happens on the weekends, because that's when there's no classes. And so that's when there's the greatest opportunities for these students to connect with each other, to socialize, to get involved in the various activities we have going on. So I always tell parents, don't let your student come home. At least that first 6 weeks or so, you really want to encourage them to stay on campus. If you're missing them and they missing you, then come to campus. We'd love to have you come visit. We have a beautiful campus to visit. You can go to the restaurants. You can visit the local areas and attractions. And you can even attend the events. If we have events going on campus, you're more than welcome to join. In fact, I believe all of our parents have been here on campus before and have taken and gotten involved with some of the local areas and visiting and stuff like that. And they'll tell you, like right across the street from us is what I think is the best ice cream place in the world. I always tell parents to bring their students here. So on moving day, make a note. On moving day, you're going to want to stop at Stewart's ice cream shop, which is right across the campus when you're leaving to go home, and get yourself some amazing ice cream. All right, let's talk about move-in. There's another session going on next week for parents that we're going to be able to go into a lot more detail, but I wanted to start talking to you now. It's never too early to start thinking about moving. We have an amazing welcome team on this campus. Our welcome team will meet you when you come to the residence hall, and we will unload your vehicle, and we will bring everything up to the room for you. And you can help us make it go even more smoothly by doing a few things. And if they're on here, I'm not going to read these out loud, but I would like to ask if Shanna or Colton, you guys came from Texas. So, moving here, you want to share a little bit about your experience with the welcome team and moving your student on into the residence hall? Let me see.
I can share. That's easy. Well, it's such a blessing to show up and have all of your things labeled as Dr. JJ has or will instruct you to do. And literally you pull up and half a dozen or so, maybe more, volunteer students unload your car in record time and take all of the things up to your student's room. And then you can drive away, and pre-COVID, you could drive away and park and come back and help. I don't know if that will be the case for the fall. And if it is, that's great. You won't have to lift a finger. So, and another thing that I always like to remind, and that we reminded our son, is that we are blessed to be a blessing and that you need to pay it forward. So you receive that blessing on move-in day, and then by the time you're a second semester freshman, you should be able to sign up and help, bless other families by doing that. So it's such a great thing that CIA offers. There's nothing like it, so you'll be real impressed. It's very organized.
Thanks, Shanna. So as you say here, so we will move everything. But some of the things you can help us do is, one, pack lightly. I always joke, don't come with a U-Haul. I always want to remind you, you're sharing a room with someone else. Your student is sharing a room with someone else. So, we always say, you don't need to bring your entire room with you. So your student may want to, but I encourage you, because if they bring too much stuff, then what that means is you're going to have to bring it back down from the room and bring it home. And no one wants to do that. We encourage you, we always say one vehicle. If you have a second vehicle for family members, that's great. But, a student shouldn't be showing up with like 3 or 4 vehicles full of stuff. Once again, probably not going to have.
And no U-Hauls.
No U-Hauls.
No U-Hauls, like in Texas, no U-Hauls.
No U-Hauls. We want you to, pack all your items. Loose items. I've had people pull up, and I swear, and I understand, sometimes you're in a hurry, but sometimes it looks like they just basically took everything out of their room and just dumped it in their vehicle. That takes a while to unpack. We will still help you move, but that's going to take us a while. So, pack everything, tubs, crates, boxes, ideally things that after you're done with it, they can slide right underneath their bed. So they can use them later on or throughout the year, or possibly they bring them back down and you bring the empty ones home. That's up to you. The most important thing, though, and this is where parents, you can be the most helpful, because sometimes students forget this: label everything. Because we literally will have 100 students and probably 100 staff members moving your stuff. And, every once in a while, when you're moving 800 students in, someone might forget what room number they were going to. But if it's right there on the box or on the tub or on the light pole or anything that they got, and it has their name and their first and last name and their room number, then we don't have to worry about it. I can tell you that we've always gotten student stuff to the room. If something was happening to get misplaced, we're very quickly can find it, because we're pretty good at knowing where we go with stuff. But just to make it a little easier, everything needs to be labeled. So even if you have items that can't be packed, you should label them. The best thing is, I found masking tape with a Sharpie is probably the best. Pre-printed labels are good, but you just got to make sure you have the ones that will really stick. All right. The other thing you want to do is make sure that you're going to get a move-in time. Actually, your student will get to sign up for a move-in time a little bit later in the summer. We'll talk about that more next week. But, we want to make sure is, those move-in times are scheduled to help us make sure we get so many people at it every hour so we can get them in. So it's really important that you know your move-in time, and you try to arrive to campus as close to that move-in time as possible. The other thing, and this is the thing that I know it's going to be tough for some parents, is you need to plan on leaving them with us at some point. I know for some parents, it's like, you might be your first student you're sending to college, and saying goodbye can be tough. I understand. When my first one went to school, I definitely understood that. But they're going to have orientation, and orientation is going to get them to start meeting all of their classmates and meeting the upper class students who are going to be so excited to help out as orientation leaders and welcome team. And they're going to want to get to know each other. We have a lot of fun stuff planned. That first week has got so much amazing things planned that they're going to have a ton of fun. And they're going to be like, wow, I'm so glad that, they're definitely going to be glad that they chose to come to the CIA. But when if they know that you're still here on campus, it's going to be hard for them to go towards orientation. So just something to keep in mind is, I'm not saying you have to drop them off and leave. That's not the case at all. But I just want you to know that they will have stuff that they need to do that day after they move into their room. And the last thing I want to say is that for those of you who are traveling a distance, maybe to make things a little bit easier for you, you can ship things here ahead of time. And you'll notice there's a special way to address packages that you send to us. And that is, it's going to say your student's name, but then you're going to use this box number. And that box number is NSS21. You're going to put that box number on the mailing label or the package that you send. And that will let us know that that package is for a brand new student. And we're going to give that a special attention. And we're going to make sure that that package is available for that student to pick up as soon as they get to campus. So you can do that. I would please, if you're going to ship things, try not to ship the entire room, because remember, they still have to carry these packages back to their room. But try to ship things so they arrive the week of August 30th and no later than September 3rd, because if they get here after September 3rd, there's a chance that the student will not be able to get the package until September 7th. So I always say too, ship things that really need to be shipped, and try not to have too many things that they, like they have to have right away, because if it gets delayed, and as we all know, there have been some delays in shipping, although hopefully by later in the summer, that's not going to be as big of an issue. They may not get those things till September 7th. Colton, did your son ship anything to campus? You also came from Texas.
Yes, we did. What we did is we used Amazon to ship stuff ahead, and we followed your instructions to get ahead. And just, everybody that hasn't been there, there's plenty of places in the local area. You can set up to pick up at Target, Bed Bath & Beyond. The directions you gave about shipping early worked out good for us, and we picked it up. Actually, it was in his room already. So that was great. And the other thing, Dr. J, I just want to throw in there where you said, parents leaving campus. We were there about 3 hours, and you'll realize real quick that the staff says, hey, kind of go, because you're going to look around and your student's not there anyway. And because they send them to orientation. So very politely, you just kind of gave the hint to go. So it's a good time for all the parents to go downtown and have dinner and meet each other. So I think you guys did a well job of kicking us out, I guess I should say. But, you looked around, you were gone. So it doesn't matter. So I wanted to say thank you for that for the new parents. You'll be okay. They'll come back. You'll see them before you leave, I promise. Thank you.
I actually think, yeah, that's right. There was a bunch of you that had that did dinner that night, I think. You got together and went off campus and had dinner together.
Yeah,
Yes,
we went to the ice house.
That's how the Facebook page started, actually. That's where it came together. So I just want to chime in real quick, not to take your thunder, but you guys did a good job of letting us know that, hey, get on and go, and they'll be okay.
Thanks, Colton. Mark, did you have something you wanted to add?
Oh yeah, we only have 4 hours on campus, but we did send some stuff ahead. It worked out really well. But then again, like we said, after the pandemic, we learned a lot, from it. And basically, when I say take what you need, my daughter said the same thing. She said, I'm not taking it if I don't need it. If I need it, you can ship it to me overnight. I recommend, and on our Facebook page, I'll mention later, if you have an account with FedEx Ground or UPS, if you have an account, you actually get paid a lesser rate than if you walked in off the street to a shipping location to send it. I send a lot of stuff to my daughter FedEx, and because I'm so close to New York, it gets there overnight, literally by 10 o'clock the next morning. But that's not the case when you're further away. So you may want to consider UPS and FedEx accounts so you can send to your student or your student can send to you all on that same account, and you do get a discounted rate.
Thanks, Mark. So the very last thing I want to throw in, and then we'll get to the questions with the parents, is I want to talk about this idea of supporting one another. So as Colton said, when Colton and Shanna and Mark, they all started, that's where this idea of the CIA parents, and so this parents Facebook group, it's a private group, and I just want to say, I'm fortunate that they've asked me to be a part of it. So, and I love it because it's a great way to stay in touch with the parents. But this is a parent-run thing. This isn't a college-run page. This is a parent-run page. And Mark and Colton and Shanna, they're the administrators, but there are a lot of parents. I think last time there was something like 750 parents on there. And it is an amazing way for you guys to support each other, be there for one another, ask questions. Some of you, I think, may already be on it. I know we have some parents on there of incoming new students because I've seen the questions. If you are on that page, you see that I am very active on there. I try very hard to keep parents up to date, but it's an amazing thing. And so the information's on here for you to join. I'm going to encourage you, and then I'm going to turn it over to Shanna to say a little bit about the Facebook page. But if you decide to join, I'm going to encourage you for the very first time when you go to the page, do it from your desktop or your laptop. Because when you join, there are questions you have to answer to help us know that you are a parent of a student, because it's only for parents of students who are going to college here. That you have to answer certain questions. And if you try to do it on your phone, those questions may not show up. And if you don't answer those questions, then you won't be admitted into the group. So I would say for the very first time, and you can do it as soon as you get done this presentation, go on to a desktop or a laptop, go to the Facebook page and answer the questions. And then one of these three administrators, actually we have four administrators, the fourth one couldn't be here tonight, will look through the stuff and admit you. And then you got an instant family of people who are there to help you, help your son or daughter and stuff like that. Shanna, as a parent who's far away, and you're, and not close to your son, you want to talk a little bit about, how the Facebook page has benefited you?
Oh yeah, this group started actually when Mark Group and his wife joined together with another parent and started it just, I think, a week or so maybe after we all dropped off our students. And it's just been a great asset. It's such a great way to connect. And sometimes if you have a student like mine who maybe needs more reminders to answer their emails or to look at their emails, by being in there, I'm learning things that I can remind him to do without hovering too much. But yeah, I learn a lot of things by connecting with the other parents. And also Dr. JJ has been really, he's right. He's in there. He's posting things that are coming in your students' email. So you'll also be able to, kind of see what your students are seeing in their own emails. And also we have other staff members who are in there. We have housing people who are in there. We have financial services people are in there posting about scholarships and such. We have Jody Amato, who's in there posting about academic services to help your student if they're struggling academically, which is a great help. One of the best that I've seen in college with all my three kids. And then also, of course, our famous Peg Graham, who is the head of dining services, and she will be your best friend. She will do anything that you need, including go and visit your student if they're in the hospital. I mean, she would do anything. She also does birthday grams for the kids, and she'll be posting pictures in there of your students receiving their birthday gram, and that's kind of neat to get to see pictures of your, of your student. We all want pictures. We all want to see more, be a fly on the wall and see more pictures of what they're doing. So I just can't say enough good things about that, and what an asset it is to have a place where parents can connect and also have those faculty members be a part of it.
So thank you very much. I appreciate that. So next what we're going to do is this is where we're going to turn it over to you guys asking some questions and letting our parents give you some feedback and sharing their experiences with you. So I'm going to turn it over right now to Christina, who's going to share some of your questions, and we'll ask Mark, Colton, and Shanna to answer them for us.
Thank you. And we do have quite a few questions that have come in so far, which is great. So actually we have a question here. Well, have your students had any resources, any experience using the resources on campus, excuse me. So I think Shanna was actually just talking about that a little, about utilizing different resources on campus and what that kind of looks like. I know you mentioned some experience with Jody, so maybe you'd like to answer that one. What kind of experience has your student had utilizing those resources on campus?
Well, I'm going to be the example parent that is going to tell you that your student, your son or your daughter, will need to raise their hand. There is a place in their student portal called CIA Cares where they can raise their hand. They can schedule an appointment with someone in student services to help them with whatever they're struggling with. And I'm not here to boast. My student actually is not one who will use that, and consequently his GPA struggles, and Dr. JJ knows about that. We talk about it often. So it's okay, they'll get by somehow. They just sometimes learn by natural consequences, but they would learn a lot better if they would go and plug into what Jody offers.
Love that. Okay, good. JJ, actually, I have some clarifying questions for you just regarding orientation. Can you just talk a little bit more about when orientation will take place, and just confirm when move-in day is and when orientation follows thereafter? How does that kind of work?
So move-in day is Saturday, September 4th. So for those of you who need to travel, plan Saturday, September 4th. Like I said, as we get closer through the summer, there's going to be a point where your student is going to get an email and they're going to choose the time, sign up for the time they're moving in. But all new students need to move in September 4th. Move-in is going to take place between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Now, in that time frame, we are going to move 800 students into their room. And you'll be like, what? Yes, 800 students. But we will do it.
We do it.
Especially if you follow those tips that we told you about, that will help us. Because here's the thing. The reason we do welcome team the way we don't want you to have to spend all your time. Because, you're going to be there and, you're going to leave at some point. We want you to spend time with your student. We don't want you to have to worry about, oh, you got to lug stuff up and down stairs and you got to do this. So we do all that for you. It gives you a little extra time to spend with your student. Orientation will begin that evening. I believe right now we're looking at 6 o'clock start time. So, parents definitely, you need to, if not earlier, you need to plan on being off campus by 6 o'clock because the students will, and once they start orientation, they're probably not going to get done that night until 10 o'clock or later. And then they start all day Sunday as orientation. So please don't plan on, on Sunday, we're going to go with, we're picking up our student and we're going to go visit the area or we're going to bring them shopping because they need to be on campus all day Sunday and all day Monday for orientation. There's a lot of important information. More importantly, there's a lot of people they got to meet and that we want to meet them because once we start to know your son or daughter, like I know Shanna, Shanna's son, I know Colton's son, I know Mark's daughter, we know them and that's how we can help them because we get to know them. We know what they want. We know what they want to do. We know everything. They need to be there for us to meet them. So please don't schedule to be like, okay, Monday, it's Labor Day. Hey, we're going to go and you can, if you want to visit the area, hey, there's a lot of stuff to do around here. It's a beautiful place, but don't plan on doing anything with your student. And then right now we're looking at potential, we might have a session or two for parents. That's something we're looking at. We're waiting to see all the, we all are hoping and believe that come fall, COVID restrictions will be lifted. And we really hope that we'll be able to, parents will be able to stay on campus and they'll be able to go into the residence halls. Mark and Shanna and Colton, they've been here for 2 years. So they know they were here before COVID and they got to go into the residence halls and they know the way it was last year is no one was in the residence hall. So we're hoping we're going back to the other way. But Saturday, September 4th. So plan right now. If you're coming from a distance, I would say, get here the day before. And that's when you can go visit the area with your student so that you're ready to get here on your move-in time. And so we can get going and get your student, because we want them to hit the ground running. We want them to have an amazing start because classes start on that Tuesday. They
Yep.
they right there, boom. They start classes right away.
Awesome. Okay, we are getting a couple questions in right now. Let's just talk quickly about what dress code is, business casual versus uniforms. I don't know, maybe Mark, you want to take that one?
Sure, I can do that. Yeah, from what I understand, and I did put this into the parent group page, there are 4 locations on campus where you do not have to be dressed according to the school dress code policy. Other than that, if you're going to Roth Hall or somewhere to see administration, make sure you're in business casual. You can also be in chef whites if you're going to visit an advisor or what have you. But when you're in lab, you make sure you're in chef whites and make sure that you follow the code to the letter, because you will get marked for it if you're not appropriately dressed in the appropriate areas where dress code is required.
Awesome.
Yeah, I believe on the parent page in the group, we have tabs at the top of the page. As I approve the parents, you'll see them. There's like a thing called files. We put stuff in there sometimes, like everything but the kitchen sink is a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Everyone's welcome to make suggestions to add to it. Some of the parents have also done photo albums of the residence halls, so you can see what your rooms may look like. We don't have all of them, but the parents are allowed to post there and add to the residence hall. It's not listed, but we do try to post the important things like dress code within, Dr. JJ does as well, but the dress code is very important, and the students will be reminded during orientation.
Definitely. And they get a student handbook with all of the questions that you could possibly have regarding dress code, outlined them as in there as well, which is awesome. Thanks so much. We are also getting a ton of questions about sports and playing sports on campus. I don't know, does anyone's student currently play a sport, or JJ?
Shanna's son played basketball for a while with us.
And who should students reach out to if they are interested in playing a sport, and kind of how does that process work?
Well, Shanna, do you want to talk about Hudson? Hudson was part of the basketball team, I think, his freshman year, right?
Yeah, Hudson played basketball all 4 years of high school, and football and track. And when he got to CIA, he was actually really surprised to see that, hey, they have, in his words, a legit basketball team. And it was kind of fun to watch some of the schools that they played. They would actually have it on I don't know, ESPN2 or something, so we actually did get to see some of the games on TV. But they would be other schools. They have a conference, I can't remember the name of it, but they would have schools that were similar to CIA in that they were for forestry or technical type schools. And I mean, he was so excited when he sent me the picture of all the gear that he got, the real bag and the real uniform and the real jersey and real warm-ups and everything, it's legit, Mom. That's what he said. And he loved it. He enjoyed it. It is, it's pretty time consuming, and they do have to have their practices late at night. He was a PM student, and some of our students will be PM students. So if they are in sports, they will usually have their practices and meetings later at night, like 9 o'clock at night. So it's quite a commitment.
So we just so you know, we have 5 varsity level sports. We have basketball, soccer, track. I'm thinking of my son. Tennis, volleyball, and we used to have cross country. There hasn't been interest in that lately, but we might be bringing that back. But we do have a conference. We travel. We go to away games. All of our games are on weekends, and our practices are in the evening. And that is because of the unique schedule of our students. So we have students that some of them will be going to class as early as 6 a.m. Others will not get done class until 9 p.m. And so our practices are always after 9 o'clock at night, so that way everyone can take part. And then their games are on the weekends because unless they're in restaurants, they don't have class on the weekend. But to get involved, it's really simple. You'll just come down to the Student Rec Center. If your student's interested in playing sports at all, they just come down to the Student Rec Center and they're going to talk to Serge Nally Waco. He's our assistant director for athletics. He'll get you in touch, get them in contact with the coach. We have interest meetings for every season, and so they can just show up to an interest meeting and they try out, and we do our best to give as many people an opportunity to play as we can, because, we know they're not here for athletics. That's not what they come here for. But like Hudson, we have a good team. Our tennis team has been champion in our conference for like the last 3 years. Our soccer team is really, really good and very competitive. Yeah. And for those of them maybe who want something like that, but not as competitive or intense, we have a very strong intramural program. And we do a lot of intramurals. We're actually just getting ready this coming weekend. We're doing a big soccer scramble and having a huge soccer tournament because, like I said, we have a lot of students who like soccer. So yeah,
awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah, sports are a thing. Sports are a thing, and they should do them, which is great. I'm going to rapid fire a couple questions here. Do students need to have a book bag? They are provided a book bag with their tools, so that is something that they will be getting. They might want a different one though, but they will get one. Do students need to wear ties? Are ties needed? They're not needed as part of business casual, but if your student will be going into one of the restaurants, they are part of a uniform there, and again, that is something that is provided. So they're not necessary, but I would definitely recommend sending your student to school with a tie or two, especially if they have an interview, if they're going to be meeting, with important people or attending, one of the career fairs on campus. JJ, are skateboards allowed on campus?
Yes, they are. And I would strongly encourage that if your student wants to have one, that they bring a helmet and they actually wear it. We have a very steep hill on our campus that our skateboarders like to use. But sometimes I don't think they quite realize how steep that hill is. And so, for safety reasons, we hope they wear a helmet. But skateboards are available. A lot of our students, believe it, have skateboards, longboards.
Bikes, they bring their bikes.
Yeah. Scooters, the push scooters.
Rollerblades.
Rollerblades. We have some students who love rollerblading around campus. So yes, you definitely can bring those. And we have bikes that you can borrow on campus too.
Yes, we do. We have an awesome bike borrow program, which is great. A question here, I'm actually going to take this one. Can parents access the student portal? So that's a great question. So the only way to access the student's portal is to actually have your student give you their logon information. But if they log onto their portal, they can actually grant you access to your own parent portal. So just talk to your student, ask them to grant you access to your your very own parent portal, or give you access. But they can give you access to their finances, their grades, whatever you want, through your very own parent portal that you have access to. But your student has to kind of allow all of those permissions. So just connect with them on that.
And to go along with it, just so you know that there is a form. If you call up and ask us for information about your student, remember, once they turn 18, they're considered adults. Which is a lot of times why we say, please have them come see us, come talk to us. We will work with them. But there's a lot of times that we cannot share information with you because they're 18 unless they specifically tell us to, like they're there with us and they're like, yeah, call my mom, you can tell her right here on the phone. Or there's a form that you can fill out, or I should say a form they fill out. They should be filling it out, but that they can fill out and saying that, yes, residence life and financial aid and blah, blah, blah. They have permission to give answer questions that my parents may have. If we don't have that form on file, then so that's when if we tell you we can't tell you, that's what that means. It's not that we're being rude. It doesn't mean we don't want. It means that we're not allowed to tell you. I always tell parents that if they're talking to me and they hear me say, you need to have a conversation with your son or daughter, that usually means there's something that I know that they don't, that your son or daughter needs to tell you. So that's, if you ever hear me say that to you, that's code to go have a conversation with your son or daughter because there's something that you don't know.
Here's a popular one, bringing a car on campus. Does anyone have a student that brought a car on campus?
Colton, does Colt have one?
Colton,
No.
yeah, Colton.
He hasn't talked at all.
Well, our student doesn't have a car on campus, but I can tell you he's never had a problem. You know, hopefully, that the bus system we hope is going to go back up, and there's plenty of friends, and they'll, you know, I know we keep hearing that there's shy students, but there's not a student there if someone needs a ride that you can get a ride to go to the store and stuff like that. You know, the Lyft and Uber is very economical. It's like $11 to go downtown to the mall. So as that opens up, coming from Texas, our other daughter, she didn't have a car and didn't need a car until the third year. So it just depends. But I don't think they need one. And that's coming from a parent. You know, it's just one more thing. And if you park in the wrong spot, you won't see it for about 3 months anyway, because they're just going to put all the snow on top of it. So.
Yeah, it definitely does snow here. But to answer this specific question, so students, especially first year students, anyone is welcome to have a car on campus. Students do not pay an additional fee for parking. Like Colton mentioned, you know, we don't feel that it's necessary, but if it, you know, is more comfortable for your student to have on campus, they're definitely, you know, able to bring one. As Dr. JJ mentioned, there are the bike share program, there's, you know, zip car options, there's mobile apps.
Yeah, there's a Saturday morning bus run that we will be bringing back. So on Saturdays, we actually have a bus that goes up and down Route 9, hits all the shopping plazas, the mall, all that stuff, grocery stores. And that's very popular, and it runs from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that's definitely option two. But yeah, we're one of the few schools that allows anyone to have a car who wants one.
Yep. Yeah. Here's a good one. Does CIA have a parents' weekend, a dedicated parents' weekend?
Oh.
Does anyone
I would say every weekend that parents want to come visit is a parents' weekend. So we don't have a typical, and part of that is you have to remember that up until a few years ago, we had incoming classes every 3 weeks. And so it was always challenging because we've talked about it. And at that time it was, when would we have it? Because typically most colleges have a parents' weekend like 6 weeks after the freshmen get there, because they're like, okay, it's been 6 weeks. Now come see your student. You haven't seen them in a while. But for us, it was like, well, when do you choose that? Because we'd have to do one every 6 weeks because of so many students coming in. Now that we have the 3-semester system, it's definitely something that's been talking about. And I do think we'll probably be seeing one. I would suggest this to you. If you want to come on a weekend in the fall, like I said, I definitely would ask you, please, please, please encourage your students to stay on campus at least the first 6 weeks before they come home. The chili cook-off, which is this year is our 31st year. Now, I know Colton may think, and maybe even Shanna may think that our chili is not hot enough. I don't know. But we have a chili cook-off that we've been doing for 31 years. It takes place this year on October 10th, which is a Sunday. It's about 6 weeks from when you've dropped off, you know, maybe 4 or 5 weeks. If you want to come visit, I would encourage you to come visit that weekend and come see the chili cook-off. It's amazing what these students do when they get in. We have a number of cooking competitions, and those are great times to come to campus because you get to see what the students are doing. You get to try some great food. October is a beautiful time to be in the Hudson Valley with our location on the river. I mean, it's just gorgeous. So I would encourage you, if you want to make a trip up here, the weekend of August, October 10th would be a great weekend to come visit your student.
Awesome. Thank you, JJ. I do want to point out just 2 more things. I have posted 2 links into our chat. The first one is the Facebook page for parents. And the next one that I just posted there is actually a page on our website. If you haven't been there, you definitely need to get there. That is the page for all accepted student information for fall students. It has the links to all of our upcoming green and gold events, as well as just lots of good information, FAQs, you name it. There's really great info on there. So I highly recommend that you guys check that out. So that's just in the chat. So you guys should all be able to see that. Okay. Let's see here.
Christine, I have one thing I wanted to bring up.
Oh yeah, go.
In the parent group, before I forget, this is important. Parents, we have post approval on the page for a couple of reasons. One, to make sure that a post that gets posted is appropriate and falls within the guidelines. But we also use it as a mechanism if a parent has a concern and like maybe their student might need to reach out to care, they don't know how to do it. An administrator will see it. We will message that parent directly and say, we don't think, we understand that you're asking for help here, and we're not going to put it out to the whole community, but we'll help you get find a resource to do it. I'll just give a vague example. I had a parent who was concerned about their student, and I messaged them to have the, the contact campus safety to go talk to their student, and leave it at that, I guess they had a concern. They're worried about something. I don't know what it was. I didn't ask, but I said, they're the only people on the weekend. Talk to them and they can try to help you. They might be able to help you. I keep it vague and to try to protect the parent and the student at the same time. But post-approval is there for a reason. We're not abusing it. We're not screening anybody. We want to be sure that you can get help and know that you have a mechanism to reach out for us to get assistance that we can try to get you without having the whole community see it.
And the administrators do see all the posts. So even if it, like Mark said, if it doesn't get posted to the page, they're going to see it. And that's when a lot of times they know who to connect with, and they will reach out to you directly and say, I'm going to connect you to Dean Macheska. He'll help you. I'm going to connect you to JJ. And so that way you get the help. But sometimes, yeah, like Mark said, we try to make sure that everyone doesn't need to know sometimes what's happening to certain students because we like to respect their privacy. So.
We've got a question here for any recommendations for banks or ATMs, especially because you guys have all traveled from outside the area. Any recommendations for what banks or ATMs that students should use?
Well, I will tell you on our campus, and I don't know, so that if you guys parents have a suggestion for a bank, but I will tell you that on campus, the only ATM is TD Bank. That's the only ATM. It's right in the Student Rec Center. Obviously, any student can use that, but if you want to open up a bank local that doesn't have to worry about fees, just letting you know that TD Bank is the only ATM that we have on campus. There are a lot of banks around us. I don't know if Shanna or Mark or Colton, what you've done for your students, but TD Bank is the only one on campus.
I can answer the bank question. I also have something on vehicles. For the bank question, normally, you don't have to change banks if you don't want to. We have a local bank where my daughter informed customer service that she's going to be in New York, for an X period of time, and that they know that any transactions that she makes in the New York, Poughkeepsie area are hers. Like if she's going to go into the city, she'll tell them. This way they'll know that she went to New York City, which is 2 hours away, versus transactions all in the Poughkeepsie Hyde Park area. So you can do that. You can actually keep your own bank, but just make sure that they know that your student is going to be, in New York, and it's okay that the transactions that they're making are fine, and your student probably have to do it since they own the account. Now, with respect to cars, I thought of this, and I think I've had a conversation with either Shanna or Colton about it. If your student brings a car from wherever you are to New York, you have to be familiar with the guidelines on what's covered on your automobile insurance policy with respect to a car being out of state for a set period of time. I know, like, Massachusetts is okay with sending a car to New York. My agent knows their cars in New York, and we don't have to worry about registration or anything like that. But some states are different. Like, I don't know how Texas works, but maybe Shane or Colton, maybe you can give an example of what happens in Texas. If you drive out of Texas, if a car's out of Texas for so long, do they have to register it somewhere else? Like in New York.
I'm going to say defer to your insurance provider for that.
Yeah.
It's going to be different for every insurance company, but speaking from experience, I think as far as car insurance, if you tell your insurance company that your student is in college and that they're going out of state, yes, by most states' laws, you're going to have to insure them in that state, and that can be costly. So you need to think about that. But what was the original question, Christine?
Oh.
Christine, was the original question what was
It's
something
about banks.
else?
Banks.
What?
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to add, as far as banks, and sorry, just wanted to close with this thought. Our son has used a locally owned bank, and in August, he will have been there 2 years, and he still has his local bank. So it's not been an issue. I think kids are creative now. They use Venmo and Cash App, and
they figure it out.
There's ATMs. There's ATMs there on campus even. So
Awesome.
I don't think it's an issue.
This has been a big question, and it's definitely one that we can talk about for a long time. So I want to try and keep it as brief as we can. But can we talk a little bit more about the different meal plans, what meal plans look like, how students eat on the weekends? Maybe JJ, if you want to, kind of do a little brief overview of what that looks like, and then we can find out what some of the.
And then, so here's the big thing you have to keep in mind that makes us, again, unique. I mean, I think that we say that a lot with the CIA. We're very different. You have to remember that a part of our meal plan is based around the food that the students are making. So for a lot of the meals, students will go to what we call production kitchens, which are actually classes. So students are in, Mediterranean cuisine. They're making food that students will then eat for lunch or dinner. So during the week, during class days. So if it's an actual class day, production kitchens are open, which means they can go to the line, which is high volume production. They can go to all the kitchens in Roth Hall, and they can get food from there. And that's great because you get such a wide variety. I mean, you can have Asian cuisine, Mediterranean cuisine. I mean, you name it. It's crazy the stuff that you can eat here. I mean, my colleagues are always jealous when I show them the stuff I eat for lunch because you don't get that anywhere else.
Yeah.
So that's you use points. That's what they get. They get points every day that they use. Most of the points are meant to be used in these production kitchens. However, weekends, there are no classes. So that's when it changes a little bit. On the weekends, as well as during the week, they can eat in what we call the egg. The egg is what we call the student dining room, the student living room. It's the main place on campus for students to congregate. It's part of my building, the Student Rec Center. But they're open on the weekends. They also use points, gold points, or for the weekends, or they can use debit credit cards as well. But we always say use your gold points; it's cheaper. And they have a bunch of varieties. There's a pizza station, there's a sandwich station, there's usually some sort of specialty area for the weekend. And so that's open Saturday and Sunday, and whenever there's no class. So if we have a day during the week, well, it's a holiday or something, and we don't have class, that's where students are going to eat. The other thing that we have, because we're a cooking school, is that in our residence halls, we have full kitchens, and I'm talking deluxe big kitchens.
Real nice ones. Yeah.
And a lot of our students will get together on their own, and they'll they'll cook for themselves, or they'll get together with a bunch of friends and they make family meal, and they share their favorite home recipes and their cultural dishes. I mean, it's an amazing thing to see it happen. So they can do that. And so if they want to bring some, if they want to use the kitchens in the residence halls, they do need to bring their own cooking utensils. I mean, they'll have their knife kit, so they got all that, but like pots and pans and stuff, they're going to want to bring themselves, or better yet, wait till you get here and buy something. I will say this for you real quick. If you do decide that your son or daughter needs something once you get here, a lot of people don't know about this. Right across the street, there is Ocean State job lots that a lot of people have never even heard of. And I always tell them that's where you should go before you go to Target or anywhere else, because they have a ton of stuff and it saves them a lot of money. It's usually a lot cheaper than Target or any of the mall stores. And they have bedding, they have cooking appliances, they have health and beauty, they have dry good foods and everything. So
yeah, that's a great,
and it's
great
right across the street.
recommendation.
So you don't have to drive around where you don't get lost. You just go across the street.
Awesome. I will say, just for those of you who are, concerned, will the meal plan be enough? Will it be too much? What does it look like? So all students do have to have the meal plan as part of their education, because obviously they are in kitchens producing food. Somebody's got to eat it. It's going to be other students, right? But I would highly recommend that you start off with a basic plan, because you can upgrade that or downgrade that at any point throughout the semester. So give your students a couple weeks to see, do they have a surplus of points that they're, buying snacks up, at the end of the week, or they have just the right amount? Do they need more? Are they super hungry all the time and they want to go back and get a couple things? Should you tack on a few more points here or there? So give it some time, start with the basic one. Your students eating in class with their points, they're eating outside of class with their points, and they're eating on the weekends with their points. And they can definitely make that work with just the basic plan. It all depends on your students and and what they need. So I would definitely just give it some time, assess the situation, and figure out what they need from there. But,
And we have
they will be fed. That's the big thing. They will definitely be fed.
All the programs that we do on campus almost always include food. So if it's later at night and they're hungry, all they got to do is find a program somewhere and there'll be food there. I guarantee it. There'll be something. Even if it has nothing to do with the program, there'll still be food there.
Of course.
And we have a marketplace on campus where students can get a lot of the staples. It's actually gotten quite large since COVID because we wanted students to be able, and they're going to keep it that way. So cereal, dried goods, drinks, water, even personal items. So I don't know if Colton or Shanna, or did you guys have to increase your meal plan? Did Kim have to increase her meal plan, or did you find the normal one worked?
We started with the next level up, and then she decided she didn't need it because she was getting enough to eat in the production kitchens.
Okay. Yeah. Colton?
The normal one worked for us, and we see it all the times on the Facebook page. My child's they're not going to go hungry there.
No.
I guarantee you that. Their problem is they just didn't go look.
Yeah.
That's what, like Dr. JJ, just need to step out there. But you know what? We learned that, as their points getting ready to expire, all of a sudden they're going to the egg and buying all this stuff because it's changing for the month, and then they store it like little chipmunks, and then they go back and forth. But they
do. That's perfect. I love that description, Colton. That's very accurate. I have a follow-up question for meals and stuff, specifically about holidays, which is actually such a great question, and how we handle that. Because for me, I think it's one of the most incredible holiday experiences a student could have if they're not able to go home is dining with us. I know I see JJ nodding, so I'm going to let you kind of talk about what that looks like. And I don't know if anyone's students has participated in a holiday on campus. But
so
JJ.
Probably the big one is Thanksgiving. That's the one, for the winter holidays, we are closed, and students go home. But for Thanksgiving, we are open. We're not in class, but we are open. So students do not have to go home. And we put on an amazing Thanksgiving dinner for those.
Yes, we do. Yep.
For free. Doesn't cost, they don't have to pay points. They don't have to pay anything. That's free. And we're talking, and this is stuff that we get students who volunteer to help make the dinner. We get Butterball donates the turkeys. So we make a lot of turkey. We usually have about 300 to 500, depending on the year. Students stay for Thanksgiving every year. For some of the other holidays, just so you know, like I said, if it's a holiday and there's no classes, then, the egg is open. But for instance, July 4th is coming up. We just had Memorial Day. Those are not class days. So the egg was open, but I usually, like on July 4th, I'm doing a cookout for the students. And they can come, they get some free food, the typical burgers and hot dogs and stuff like that. They have they have some fun. But there's always an option to eat on campus. There's not a day when we're like, there's no food. The egg is always open unless the college itself is closed. So even on a snow day, and yes, if you're coming from places like Texas, you may not know what that is, but there are some days when we get so much snow that we cannot have class. We still will feed your student.
Awesome. Thanks so much, JJ. I think at this point we're just a little bit over and questions are starting to wind down. So to wrap up, I'd just like to see if there's any kind of last minute tips for success, any must bring items. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share just as a last minute recommendation to new parents?
Go Colton, Mark, and then Shanna, you get the last word.
Okay. Hey, Colton, you're up.
I think the biggest thing we see the question come out a lot of time is, get over the business dress. Yes, you're dressed for success there at the school. So I think all the students, if they can, have a jacket, have a tie, learn about it, because when you go to those job fairs, that's what they're looking for. Like my son's on an externship. He met this group 2 years ago when they had it, and he stayed in touch with them. So I think that's the biggest thing. I know people are kind of get hung up on that. And then the meal plan, start out with your meal plan and increase, and they'll be fine. And just to top off on Dr. JJ and Peg Graham are the two of the best support groups we got. Go ask them. Their doors are open.
Always.
Guarantee you that. And And Dr. JJ's there from 6 to probably 9 o'clock because I see videos, and same thing with Peg. So I'm just thinking, it's okay. He's down to earth. I met him the very first time when we moved in, and I was like, this is the good Sam Club.
Yeah, that's it. He's the person to know. He's the person to know. I love
And I
that.
appreciate the invite to be a part of this panel, looking to do it again some more. Thank you.
Thank you, Colton. Mark, how about you?
Okay, well, it's good. I got a lot here. Yeah, I'm like trying to make it short. For the parents, I saw a parent up here for about asking how cold it is in the wintertime. Well, that depends. You remember the wind blows up the Hudson Valley. And like I said, on the group, there's a section on the files tab. There's a file called Everything But the Kitchen Sink. It has a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It has some guidelines for winter dress. It has some guidelines for cars and preparing for the winter. Rule of thumb, parents, you don't need to bring your winter coats right away, depending on where you're coming from. I understand we have international students. We have to keep that in mind. I would recommend if you don't bring winter attire with you, try to send it by Columbus Day, which is about the second week of October. I think that's about right, Christina and JJ, right? With respect to when it starts to get cold. Always dress in layers. You can always take layers off. Living in the Northeast, I'm used to being, going out in 20-degree weather or wind chills below zero to clear snow. So you can dress in layers so you can stay adequately warm. As far as, your student, try to encourage them to try to learn things on their own, do what they need to do. Try to figure out stuff on their own. They are adults, like JJ mentioned. Once you sign them in, that's it. You get shut off from the school unless you have, permission otherwise from the student to talk to them. But students learn to become independent very quickly. My daughter learned very young. She applied to CIA on her own. I came home from work. Oh, I applied to college today. Okay. 21 days later, she was accepted. So, just try to encourage independence in your student because it will help them when they get out and have to go compete in the real world. The restaurant industry is very competitive, and some of our students are going to be facing golden opportunities to graduate because right now, the job market is looking for people willing to work, and our students can capitalize on that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. That was great. All right, Shanna, to end us out, what is yours?
I just like to say, make sure that your students plug in to Dr. JJ's student activities. Obviously, you can't twist their arm and you can't hog tie them and make them. Trust me, I've tried. And just maybe try asking your student, what student activity have you been involved with this week, and encourage them to dialogue with you about that. It is through these activities that you will get to know faculty who can write you recommendation letters later. Those relationships are important in any college. And another thing is for them to realize that the CIA has great connections and wonderful alumni support, but they are not going to find your externship for you. That isn't something they ever promised you to do. Your student is going to need to network, and that starts from day one. So that's something that I would encourage. If you have an introverted or reluctant student, that is all the more reason they should be involved in activities, getting to know people on campus, even older students, and asking them those questions. Where did you do your externship? What did you think of it? What advice do you have for me? So building those relationships that hopefully are going to serve us all well, even into the future of our culinary careers.
Perfect.
Thank you for doing this. And
Well
I have to
said.
sign off now.
Thank you. Okay.
One last thing I'd want to say is just two things. Parents, hopefully you're going to really like this. You can tell your son or daughter that I told you this. Starting now, if you are not doing it already, you need to make your students do their own laundry, and you need to make them learn how to clean the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because they will be responsible if they live. Now, your freshman year, most of the students are going to live in Hudson Hall. Their bathrooms will be clean for them. But when they move up through the years, they're going to go to other residence halls and they're going to have their own bathroom in their room, which they love until it comes time to clean it. And I'm telling you, we deal with health and safety all the time because we're dealing with food. If their bathrooms don't get cleaned, they will get fined. And a lot of times I love it when students will come to me and say, I got a maintenance emergency. And they're like, my bathroom's got mold in it. And we go in there like, well, that's not mold. When was the last time you cleaned your bathroom? What? they need, so tell them now that from this point on until they come to the CIA, they should be cleaning the bathroom because they need to know how to do that.
There you go.
And then the last thing I just want to stress, my door is always open. I am usually here by 6 a.m. I usually go to most events on campus. I love doing the events with the campus, getting to know the students. So even you don't have to worry about being shy. Remember, tell your students, they have something in common with every single person at this school. If they have nothing else, all they have to do is go up and say, so tell me about the favorite dish you like to make. Boom, they'll get a conversation going, and then they'll have friends. And everyone here, our older students love helping our younger students, and they can do that here because they've taken the same exact classes that, no other college can say that.
Nope.
Our students are taking the same classes that your students are going to take. So get them out there. And if they're really, really having a hard time, you reach out to me, reach out to Peg Graham, Jody Amato. We will reach out and help your student. But I always say they got to leave their room. That's the one thing we can't do. I can't go into their room and drag them out, although sometimes I want to.
You could try, yeah.
I can try. But
yeah.
as long as they leave their room, they're going to be fine.
Leave their room and check their email, right, JJ?
Yes, twice a day. Twice
a day. There you go. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you to Dr. JJ and to our parent panelists. We appreciate all of your questions. If you submitted a question and we weren't able to answer you, a member of our team will be in contact after today's chat. If you have any additional questions, feel free to email us at enrollment@culinary.edu. Again, thank you so much for attending today's chat, and we look forward to welcoming you and your student to our beautiful campus this fall.
Bye, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much.
Everyone. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.